forgot to do an explanation on mitochondrial biogenesis. So, um, every single cell has a mitochondria, and we get our mitochondria from our mothers. So females have a different connection to energy than males do because um, women stay women because their Y chromosomes are connected to their mitochondria. And when we're in a low energy state, our mitochondria are depleted because we don't have the ability to produce more, or as our cells are copying or dividing during cell division, the newer copies of the cell are aged because the body's not producing as much energy as it was previously because of diet, because of stress, because of drugs and unhealthy living. So in order to maintain a high mitochondria count and therefore high ATP or energy, we need to make sure that we are eating foods that are highest on the energy cycle of the chain of life, which are plant-based foods which absorb the sun's energy directly. Meats have less energy when consumed by the physical body, even if though it is in the physical body for longer amounts of time. We want to eat plant-based food so that you can maintain high energy to produce mitochondrial biogenesis. But the reason why this might be difficult is because as soon as you get the energy, you need to be able to use certain practices to store the energy in your body with your breath, which I'll explain at a later time. And this ensures that you are not having to eat copious amounts of leafy greens. Herbivores have to eat like tons and tons of leaves or plant-based foods to be able to maintain their physical bodies. But if you notice, they're usually gargantuan and have like very, very strong physical bodies. It's just they have to eat pounds and pounds of leaves to maintain their physical form. But to maintain this practice, you need to be able to do pranic yogic breathing, which I explained, the serpent breathing, by using clover tongue to breathe in and then through your diaphragm. And this ensures that you fill up your stomach first full of air in your diaphragm at the bottom of your lungs, and then you breathe continuously until you feel the air fill up the top part of your lungs. And not a lot of people absolutely breathe through the top part of their lungs, and this is a reason why a lot of people are walking around basically brain dead. Adding in the fact that people don't eat a proper diet, they don't breathe properly, it's a cause for a lot of conflicts in relationships. And even if you were to speak the truth to a person that wasn't following these practices, they wouldn't even understand the truth or the correct concepts that you would be giving them to try to help them. So don't become annoying like vegans usually do and try to pressure everyone to do this practice. It's a very personal thing, and it's only the results that you will see doing these things that speak for themselves. What else do I want to talk about? So I mentioned water. I mentioned the serpent breathing. also sunlight. Oh, okay, I'll just give a full practice. So I'll drink about 4 liters of water to 8 liters if I can during the day, 4 liters, and some at night. This does lead to frequent urination. You want to make sure that you're urinating so that your urine is clear, because that means that your kidneys aren't having to purify your blood. Because if you have yellow pee, it means that your kidneys are overworked. But the thing is, though, you can overwork your kidneys if your body's not used to retaining water by too frequent urination. So you have to build up your body's ability to retain water. And if you're finding that your body isn't retaining the water, you can add a little bit of salt to the water for natural electrolytes. What else? Okay, so water, kidneys. Okay, let's see. Water, kidneys, sunlight. Okay, so like I said, you want to be eating as many high energy foods as possible to maintain the mitochondria in your body. So in order to do that, you need to be eating plant-based foods. But another thing that you can do, and in a lot of ancient texts, they talk about yogis being able to do pranic breathing through the skin of their bodies, every pore of their body. And then in the Bible, texts about like Archangel Michael being an angelic presence that has hairs on his body that sing the Lord's name to bless and protect the world or all life. It's like a metaphor for a person that can breathe through the pores of their skin. And when you do this, I've read that that people can chelate minerals through the pores of their skin. So if you start to do this, you go into the sun and you do your diaphragmatic breathing or your serpent breathing. You're drinking your water so that you can maintain a fullness so you don't faint. And sometimes I like to mix coffee with this because it helps with the norepinephrine forming in your brain, and it helps you experience an even more euphoric state, because when you get to the sweet spot of your breath, you start to feel euphoria. And I don't recommend driving or doing anything heavy lifting or doing anything that's physically taxing after this, even though if you do this practice over a prolonged period of times, it's pretty similar to spending time in the mountains and having a higher oxygenated blood, which would allow you to have a deeper, fuller, more powerful workout and help your muscles recover faster because you'd have more powerful sleep. But another thing about the breathing is that if you're breathing like this, a scary thing that could happen is that you could take over your, if you're consciously aware of your breath 24 hours a day, you'll take over the subconscious mind's ability to automatically breathe when you're not aware. So you might be holding your breath unconsciously when you're not focusing on your breath, or when you're trying to fall asleep, your subconscious mind has put the energy or programmed itself to not have to breathe unconsciously anymore. So when you're about to fall asleep, you might wake up because your breathing stops when you're not consciously aware of it, and that's a sign that you're breathing in this way too much, and you have to kind of retrain your physical body. This has happened to me like years ago in my teens when I first started doing this. Going back to the sun, You want to have your water, you want to be doing your serpent breathing, your diaphragmatic breathing, and then you want to be sunbathing, wearing as little to no clothing if possible in the sun, and then allowing the sun to allow you to flush out the toxins into your body while breathing in intensely to the point where the tips of your fingers are feeling cold. And then this will allow your body to chelate the heavy metals and toxins out of your body. And for people that are suffering from alcoholism, or people that are suffering from drug addiction or eating a toxic diet, these people would be sweating out profusely the toxins out of their body. So then they would need to shower bathe immediately after this practice. But because then the toxins would be resting on the surface of the skin. But if you've been doing this practice for quite a bit, your body is producing vitamin D, and I don't recommend taking a supplementation of vitamin D ever, because in 20 minutes, the normal human being gets vitamin D after being in the sun for 20 minutes, sweating, and then allowing the vitamin D to form on topically on your skin in 40 minutes. So the vitamin D, you don't get vitamin D directly from the sun. It's a chemical process that happens when you're in the sun. You sweat, and then on the surface of the skin, the chemical reaction is formed by vitamin D, forming vitamin D, and it is then absorbed into the body. So if you go suntanning and you don't have a toxic diet, then wait 40 minutes. That gives your body the time to absorb the vitamin D, and then you're able to take your shower, your bath. Yeah. So I mentioned water, I mentioned the breathing, I mentioned the sun tanning. Oh yeah, when the more and more you do this, you can be able to absolutely start to absorb energy, which is just light, through the pores of your skin, which is enhanced by phosphanergic mixing, which is another practice